By now, everyone knows that solid blue Virginia faded a bit. Even in the Richmond areas and DC metro areas, the strongest bastions of blue took on a more diminished tint. Sam, what happened? And if it can happen there, can it happen here?
I want to start off by saying all politics are local. All politics are local. And when you look at the Virginia race, who talked about local politics? Who talked about local issues? Who spoke about the future of Virginia, where it's going to go economically, physically, financially, all of the finance parts of it, education, et cetera, et cetera. It certainly wasn't McAuliffe. So I think that when Biden said maybe, had that legislation in Congress passed, it would have made a difference. That's the answer. It's maybe. Yeah, you can't run a race based on national stuff. People want to know, what are you doing for me lately? And I think that was the biggest concern.
Sam, this sounds like more, sour grapes that Democrats expressed. Like when Kathleen Kennedy Townsend lost her election, she was a bad candidate. When Anthony Brown lost his election, he was a bad candidate. When Terry McAuliffe loses his election, he focused on the wrong things. The fact is that Glenn Youngkin targeted local issues that were of concern to people. And if you look at the election results, and particularly how suburban independents voted, I'd be worried if I was a Democrat. Phil, on top of that, the New York Post reported that the watchdog group Judicial Watch obtained an August 2020 email from Associate MCPS Superintendent Janet Wilson that required all principals to implement a psychoeducational lesson plan on the dual pandemics of COVID-19 and systemic racism. But isn't this just what Loudoun County parents found so objectionable, that their kids were being taught that they were racist?
Yeah, absolutely. That is a big part of it. Now, I want to say something here. First of all, Virginia is not solid blue, and it never has been. Maryland, interestingly enough, always has been solid blue, although what underlies that blue has changed over the years. A lot of the reason why Youngkin won, number one, yes, he did focus on local issues. Number two, he did, ride the wave and help make prominent the issues like critical racist theory. That's what I call it, because it's nothing but racism that they're teaching in the schools. But what also helped, and he was very adept, and the folks down ballot, Winsome Sears, Jason Miyares, pointing out, is how negative the things that are going on nationally are. There are a lot of people out there who have gotten vaccinated and believe in the vaccine and absolutely hate the idea that this guy who's sitting in the White House has just decided, you know what, if you aren't going to get it, you're going to lose your job. He did that in the run-up to that in the run-up to that election. That's big. A lot of people don't like the fact that we used to be able, when Donald J. Trump was president, to go to the stores and get what we wanted on the shelves, except for that brief period when people bought too much toilet paper. And suddenly now the shelves are empty and you're being told, well, it's just a little bit of a problem. And also, let's not forget the inflation. And they're trying to tell us, the inflation is okay. This is just what happens when things recover and get better. No, it's not getting better when your same salary doesn't go anywhere near as far, and you can't even drive to that really cool place to go fishing or doing whatever you want because gas prices are so high. All of those helped. Glenn Youngkin and the rest of the candidates were outstanding. They ran a tremendous campaign. And yes, issues like critical racist theory and the others, and pointing out how the far left was undermining every facet of our lives. That's what led to this victory. And that can absolutely cross the river into Maryland.
So Sam, is what Phil just discussed a harbinger of things to come in the 2022 elections?
Well, first of all, I want to thank both of you for reinforcing my point that all politics are local. Many use different words, but we all said the exact same thing. And when it comes to this particular issue, again, all politics are local. You have to look at your voters. You have to see where you are. Let's look at the demographics of Fairfax compared to the demographics of Montgomery County. Montgomery County is one of the few jurisdictions. In fact, I don't think there are any. Well, there might be one or two in Virginia, But we are in Montgomery County a people of color majority. The number of Black voters, the number of Hispanic, Latino, Asian American voters is higher in Montgomery County than in Fairfax County. That's a fact. That's the census data. That's what that tells you. So this issue that we're talking about goes to how a community and how the nation in the future is going to grow and change. That's the biggest impact. That's the biggest impact.
Sam, you're putting lipstick on a pig, Sam. I mean, what this election revealed was that people want to be able to have their children educated without being distorted by critical race theory or other social issues that are being pushed in the public schools. They want their children to get a good education. And Montgomery County residents want the same thing. And it came up in the last election, and it's going to come up next year as well.
But Sam, you said something. I gotta push back on you. Just because there's people that have more melanin in their skin, or might have come from, descended from countries that are on some islands or whatever the heck it is, that is not determinant of what they think and what they want. The reason why you see a lot of Blacks and Hispanics and so forth that have voted for Democrats over the years is simply because the Democrats spent a long time running a gravy train, which a lot of people foolishly take part of, and later on realize what the problem is. When you continue to see people like Glenn Youngkin and Winsome Sears and Jason Yaris going out and taking the conservative Republican message, the Donald J. Trump message to more Americans, you're going to see more Americans go that way because more people understand that's freedom of thought, that's freedom to be who you are, as opposed to, oh, look, I'm Black, therefore I must think a certain way, which is absolutely absurd and quite degrading, to be honest.
Bill, Sam, you got the last word.
Thank you very much. First of all, an unintended consequence of what Phil said was to basically insult the majority of the vote in Montgomery County. Secondly, all politics are local. What Loudoun County parents and school officials and elected officials in education chose in Loudoun County is entirely the opposite of what the plurality wanted in Montgomery County. And the basis of this is sensitivity. So is one jurisdiction right and the other jurisdictions wrong? Do we have eateries in Bethesda? Do we not have eateries in Bethesda? Do we say that there's more Democrats that have a majority in Montgomery County, Republicans can't win? All of this plays into it. So the bottom line is that the school boards and the decisions of the school boards are reflective of the population of the jurisdiction.
Thank you, Sam. You got the very last word.